Hi, everybody. My name's Paul. I'm going to change pace a little bit here. This is not a technical presentation at all. Martin asked me to just talk a little bit about Zindi. It's a company I work for. My role is Chief of Staff, which is in a small tech startup. You may or may not know this. Chief of Staff is just a kind of catch-all phrase for do what needs to be done to keep a company running. So yeah, I'm happy to tell you a little bit about the company, what we do. I would say we're quite closely related to this machine learning and AI space, although I'm not technically minded myself. So with that caveat, I'll dive right in. So Zindi is a professional network for data science, machine learning, and AI. But I think the easiest way to really talk about the power and the value that Zindi offers is to tell a story about these two guys. My background's in communication and marketing, so I like to tell stories to get my point across. So I'm going to start with these. This is Darius and Nikhil. They are two data scientists. They both early career data scientists. They've studied various things. I think Nikhil studied something quite close to data science. Darius studied something relatively unrelated to data science, economics, I think. They're community members of Zindi. They're people who joined the platform. It's a platform that's free to join. They signed up. And on that platform, we host a number of challenges. They are explicitly machine learning challenges, and they're challenges that try to improve something in the world. Often we're doing work for companies to develop machine learning solutions for them, but generally there's a for good angle of some sort. These two teamed up on a competition for a company called Echo, sorry. Echo is based in Uganda. They come out of Makerere University, which is one of the leading data science and AI research centers on the continent. And the challenge was to use machine learning to predict air quality at the time they were operating in Kampala in Uganda. So can you use a network of sensors to predict air quality 24 hours in the future? And I don't know how much you know about public health, but air quality has a huge effect on people's health and well-being. And you can actually track public health based on air quality. So these guys teamed up and won the competition. We put prize money on our competitions, and through the models that they built, and then they were consequently hired and contracted by Echo, they are developing now 17 million annual predictions of air quality 24 hours in advance. And Echo is now rolling this model out all across the continent. They're operating in, I can't remember, 7 or 8 countries across East and Central Africa. And this was a quote from the guys who ran the project. And I think this is a kind of a little insight into the kind of impact that we can have when we try to use community-based innovation and insights for solving these really thorny challenges. So that said, Zindi itself, we now have around 70,000 users from almost every country in the world. We were started in South Africa, and I'm South African, you may have noticed. But we operate right across the continent. Almost every country in Africa, and now almost every country in the world, in fact, is represented on the Zindi platform. We've been around for about 5 years, and we've given away more than $500,000 in prize money, much of that going to people on the continent, people who wouldn't have had opportunities otherwise. And we've run more than 300 machine learning competitions. We are a for-profit company, but you can think of us as a social enterprise. And this is the big picture. Really, the community is at the heart of what we do. People join Zindi because they want to build their skills. They want to evaluate those skills. They want to win prize money. But surprisingly few people join Zindi because they want to win prize money. Actually, as it turns out, particularly in developing countries, a platform like Zindi offers people a chance to develop practical data science and AI skills that they can't get from their university. Your average university in Africa, and I would say there's probably the same is true for South America and many parts of the developing world, don't teach the kind of skills that you actually need to succeed as a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer or similar. So we have around this community, we have these challenges, which I've talked about a fair bit. We have learning, both practical learning as well as a series of tutorials and so on. And then this is something that Zindi is now working on quite actively, is a job matching platform. We now, as I said, we've got more than 70,000 users. We realize that we can connect companies to talent. In a world where, and this is why we're all here, at least in part, the hiring landscape in the technical space has changed utterly in the last 10 to 15 years. Companies need new ways to find talent. The traditional hiring methods aren't working. And so we're starting to build that out as well. So in terms of what we do to help companies, companies come to us with their problems. They have data sets, but they may not have the skills or the time or the experience to turn those data sets into insight through machine learning modeling. So we help, first and foremost, we help companies do that at a fraction of the cost. And then we help them also source the talent that they need. So just a few reasons. I got the sense that this was probably more individual contributor, sort of a community, people working in the space. A few reasons why you might want to be on Zindi. It's very beginner friendly. So there's tutorial competitions and competitions of every level that will allow you to get started with the basics of machine learning, but then build all the way up to more advanced topics like NLP, computer vision, deep learning, and so on. And we've now started to run generative AI competitions as well. We have our first competition around using large language models, fine-tuning of large language models. That's up now, focusing on retrieval augmented generation. And we're going to launch another one. No, in fact, we just launched the second one, which is around fine-tuning a language model for answering questions in public health. So fine-tuning an OpenAI's model or another open source model to perform better on a specific context or in a specific context. Then, yep, as I said, test what you've learned. And we're building out this learning section in the next few years to really deliver a more formal learning channel. We don't really want to run courses. A lot of people do that anyway, but we'd like to supplement coursework with practical learning. This is something we focused really a lot on in the last year, is to build out a data science and machine learning portfolio. We want people to be able to demonstrate their skills practically. So you can think of it as a LinkedIn for data science kind of approach, where you don't need to have your own CV. You can have a profile which demonstrates all of the skills. You can upload, self-report skills, but also we're collecting your performance and your behavior on the platform to show a more holistic or rounded profile. And that's then delivered to companies looking for talent. A lot of people are using the platform just to connect. We have private messaging and forums and that kind of thing. So you can find a community, find a mentor, and so on. And then, as I mentioned, building your profile. And then ultimately, we hope that every Zindi user graduates to get a job or a second job or a better job in this field. Jobs across Africa, and we're now expanding a little bit into Europe as well. And then the idea is that because you've done all of this, you can get evaluated, matched with the correct job, and shortlisted just through your behavior on the platform. In terms of what we offer businesses, this is a way of essentially crowdsourcing innovation, crowdsolving real challenges that you're facing at, generally speaking, a lower cost than you would have to incur if you built a whole data science team for yourself. access to a large pool of AI talent. And I think the really nice thing is that people are passionate, enthusiastic. People are coming to the prize or to the challenges because they want to, not because it's just their job. And then we've seen over the last 5 years that we are able to deliver best-in-class models and usually very creative approaches as well. We just wrapped up a challenge for Rand Merchant Bank, one of the biggest banks operating in Africa. And the challenge was to forecast consumer price index, CPI, a month in advance. And they got solutions that were better than their in-house model and took approaches that they'd never tried themselves. And this is a big multinational bank that we're talking about. In terms of finding talent, the idea really is that you can bypass traditional methods of recruiting engineers and developers, and you hire through the database, or we run recruitment challenges. And the recruitment challenges have worked quite well because it kind of does the vetting of talent first. It makes sure people are interested in your job, and you get to see people's approaches and technical skills before you've even worried about an interview. And then several organizations like Meta, DeepMind, NVIDIA, those sorts of organizations are using Zindi to reach communities on the continent. We've got this 200 person ambassador network all across the continent, and we run events there. So we do a little bit of, I guess you could consider it product placement. And we're working with Microsoft as well this year on the same thing. So that's the elevator pitch, I guess. This is what the platform looks like. I'm happy to do a quick walkthrough if people are interested, but very briefly with Zindi.Africa, very easy to sign up for a competition. As I mentioned, there's significant learning section, but this is the meat of the platform is the competition page, Zindi.Africa/compete. This is the tutorial challenge, but there are, as I said, there at the moment, I think there are probably 3 or 4 prized competitions. There's always a few prized competitions available, as well as a wide range of knowledge competitions that are always open for people to participate in for learning purposes, to develop specific skills. And you can see, you can sort it by the level of difficulty, what kind of skills you would learn, as well as, you can't see it on this screenshot, but as well, you can search by sector. So you can choose to work on financial modeling or on agriculture or on public health, whatever catches your eye. That's what the sign up page looks like. It would be awesome if you wanted to sign up and join, contribute to some of our challenges, and hopefully win some prize money. And that is me. Thanks very much. Very happy to answer any questions.
Yep.
If there are any.
You are doing my job well, yeah? Please. yeah, of course.
Is there any possibility for the users, the data scientists, to collaborate, or they work separately?
Yes, so I didn't go too much into that side of things, but absolutely, when you sign up, you can choose to participate as an individual in any given competition or join a team. Darius and Nickel teamed up, and one of the nice things about that story is that Darius is in Nairobi and Nikhil's somewhere in India, and they've teamed up, across continents, in fact. And then, and the platform tries to support that as well through setting up a private messaging group for that and a few other ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So very purpose-driven. Do you have like some events here in Lisbon or something? Or
no, so actually, I'm not in Lisbon because of Zindi. I'm in Lisbon because of me. Zindi operates mostly in South Africa. We've got some people in Nairobi as well, and we're starting to look at doing things on the European continent as well, but not much happening here. But almost any country in Africa, we have some events happening every year because we've got quite a really large ambassador community there.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your presentation. I was wondering, can anyone participate in the contest and learning platform, or does it have a subscription based?
No, so it's entirely free to participate. We encourage anyone to sign up just to kind of explore it and figure it out. We were, I guess, fortunate that we had the funding and the support to build it community first. We didn't have to immediately try and figure out a funding model. So we absolutely prioritized our users and our community, and we still believe that the community is what actually gives life to the whole project. And we've found ways to monetize through charging clients and now through recruitment. So it's completely free to sign up. There's no reason not to. Of course, these things, and I guess you may know Kaggle as well. It's kind of a similar beast. These things take a lot of time from you. So that's essentially what you're paying, is your own time. But no, free to join.
Okay, thank you.
What is the usual format of those competitions? Is it like a hackathon, or like several days, several weeks, or
Sure.
what is the usual form, if there is a usual one?
Yeah, there's a relatively standard form. Normally speaking, it is, we would consider them hackathons, although they are very explicitly machine learning hackathons. So it's not a case of come and build whatever you like. The hackathons that we run are, generally speaking, we get a data set from a company. We design a problem statement of some sort, such as, can you count the number of chickens in this picture? And then we have on the platform, you have the ability to upload, in fact, CSV files. So model outputs rather than models themselves. So you download the data, you build the model, you run the model to output a file, CSV file, you upload the CSV file, and you're scored against an error metric. We have 15 or 20 different error metrics on the platform. We're adding more. Every time somebody comes with a new and interesting competition, we take the chance to add another error metric. And then that outputs a score. So there's a public leaderboard. And there's also a private leaderboard to stop overfitting. So you can see your rank. You can make multiple submissions on the platform. You can see your rank, how you're performing. But there's a private test set that we keep on the back end, and that determines final scores. The winners of the competition, based on that final score, they submit their models to Zindi. Zindi does some verification, checks the documentation, makes sure it actually runs as it's supposed to. They are awarded prizes, and then the models it depends a little bit on the challenge. In some cases, the models go back to the company that's paying for them. In other cases, the models are open sourced. And if you're interested, please take a look at our GitHub. We have loads of models out there that we've put up for the public to use, including some of the air quality modeling that we've done.
Cool. Just one more. You work with government fundings as well. I think this kind of would work as well. Or so.
Yeah, I mean, we operate in an interesting space where we can talk to almost anyone. So for a while, we kind of took money where we could find it. We have some government clients, African government clients, including South Africa, recently Togo. Trying to think, there was another country, but I can't think of it right now. But then the other major source of funding is actually that's not businesses, it's not for profit. Is like international grant agencies. There's a lot of agencies operating on the continent to support, say, machine learning for agriculture, or public health, or education, or one of these. And so we do tap into that sort of funding. So we've gotten funding from the GIZ, the German Development Corporation, the French Development Agency, the Canadian Development Agency. All those organizations are quite active on the continent.
Nice, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
With respect to Africa, is that just more of a concentration? Is that like sort of your mission, or is that restrictive? Do the data scientists have to be from Africa, or?
It's certainly not restrictive. It started as mission driven. I'm South African. The founders are at least partly South African. We recognized a need on the continent because we were working in a for a data consultancy kind of organization operating in several African countries. And there was just an obvious need on the continent. There were all these talented people with no way to develop their skills and no way to connect with the kind of opportunities that were out there in the world. So it started very much as like, how are we gonna build a place for these people? And it's a competitive advantage. Now nobody else is operating on the continent. We have the kind of nobody knows how to get the kind of network and the kind of community clout that we have. And the way we see it now, Africa is the future talent pool of the world. It's already happening, and it's only going to increase as developed nations age out and the African population grows up. So we expect that it will continue to be a competitive advantage.
Okay. With respect to that last comment, do you have any maybe steps forward to widen, other than just data scientists and engineers, to have more technical, non-technical sort of posts or
it's
projects on?
Kind of happening on its own to an extent. Anyone who's interested in a career in this direction, or project management, or acting as an analyst, say, it's happening naturally that people are being pulled into this ecosystem. We don't have explicit plans to expand this, but we're constantly looking at ways we can widen it. Exactly. So we've now got generative AI competitions on the platform. That's new for us. We're planning ML Ops competition later in the year with a partner. That's completely new territory for us. We would like to get to data visualization challenges and that kind of thing. So it's a work in progress, obviously working within our budget constraints.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. We have a question. Yeah. Right.
Thank you. So my name is Abhishek. I'm from EY Portugal. Though I'm not representing EY here. My question is, who is your competitor in Europe if you want to expand in Europe?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, there isn't really anyone doing what we're doing.
Okay.
I wouldn't say European expansion is like a set goal right now. I'm looking into it because I'm here anyway.
Okay.
It seems fairly clear that there's a fit. Africa's on the same time zone as the EU.
Yep.
There's a lot of language matching, especially the Anglophone countries and Lusophone countries. So there is probably a fit, but I wouldn't comfortably make any statements about competitor analysis.
Okay, let me put it straight then. What it would take for you to start this initiative in Portugal, let's say, provided all the facilities that you need to organize a competition, or even with the matching?
It could happen tomorrow. The platform's completely remote. We operate essentially location free.
Mm-hmm.
We've just our sector has been Africa. We've just been operating there.
Okay.
But if you're interested, we can chat.
Yeah. One more thing, as you know, AI engineering field is growing, right? It's and we don't have that much talent in the market as many as we have the job opportunities. People don't have experience in this field.
Yeah.
So I'm the lead AI engineer of the team. So do you have any plan to train people, which we can also leverage in European market?
It's funny that you mention it. We've done this for EY in Africa. We've run internal hackathons. It was focused on methane emissions, identifying methane emissions on the continent, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we see this as quite a good fit, especially for like the big four, like for the consulting organizations, because as you say, there's a lot of need for this kind of skill set, and it's not easy to find. So yeah, we do run, we call them internal hackathons or upskilling hackathons, where we'll build a custom environment, private, for this for whichever organization.
Let's talk later offline, maybe.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. So, any more questions for Paul? Yeah. If not, you can close.
I'm leaving this.